Deep dives and blue skies. Welcome back to Talking Blue with Nick, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Blue, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. I'm your host, Nick. Today, we're going to do a preview podcast, another one of those preview podcasts. This time, it's for the Dodgers-Pirates series that will be taking place this weekend. The Pirates come into town to play the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. It'll be Game 1, Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Paul Skenes. That's going to be the biggest matchup of the weekend. Roki Sasaki will be going against Mitch Keller on Saturday, and then Tyler Glasnow will be going against Bailey Falter on Sunday. Before we get into that, follow us on all social media at Talking Blue Pod, Instagram, TikTok, X. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you prefer to watch. We have a bunch of shorts that have been coming out, TikToks, Instagram Reels, all that kind of stuff. And I really appreciate the people who have given me feedback on these preview series podcasts. They like to look forward to that, like to know a lot of information before the series starts. I'll be making my home run picks again, of course. Through the first two videos I've done so far, my picks have been pretty solid. Follow us on Reddit as well, competitive-week8715. So let's go ahead and get right into this series. Right into the preview. Gonna be a pretty quick series and a pretty quick podcast. The Pirates do not have anyone who's faced Yamamoto or Sasaki, so we're not going to talk much about the Pirates offense. We're going to talk mostly about how the Dodgers offense lines up against the Pirates pitching. But really quickly, offensively, the Pirates have the 7th worst batting average in all of baseball. They're 25th in home runs, and they have the 3rd worst slugging percentage. They have the 3rd lowest chase rate, and they have the 2nd lowest swing percentage, and 4th lowest on first pitch swing percentage. So they're not a great offense. They don't slug, don't hit really any home runs, don't have a high batting average, but they're a very patient team. Like I said, 3rd lowest chase rate, so they don't swing out of the zone. They have the 2nd lowest swing percentage overall, so they're very patient, and they don't swing at the first pitch very often. Their pitching is solid. Obviously, they have Paul Skenes. They are 9th in ERA in baseball. They have the 6th lowest opponent slugging percentage, the 4th lowest hard hit percentage, and they have the 2nd least amount of home runs allowed. So they're kind of an entire team of not hard hit balls. They don't give up, or I should say, they're not a team that is made up of any kind of slug. They don't slug offensively, and on the pitching side, they don't give up much slug. They don't give up a lot of home runs, a lot of hard hit balls, and a lot of slug. So the Dodgers should not rely on the home run this weekend. Of course, they've been getting better at that, but going to be a hard series to predict home runs. But the Pirates have nobody who's faced Yamamoto. So quickly, I'll just go through a couple of their best hitters. O'Neal Cruz is a pretty good hitter. He's a pretty good fastball hitter, and he's actually better than I would have thought at hitting sliders. But against changeups, and he's not so great, and splitters. Brian Reynolds is a very good fastball hitter. He hits over 300 on both fastballs and sinkers, but also not as well against changeups and splitters. He's also not very good against sliders. Andrew McCutchen, who's still doing it at his old age and is still a pretty good hitter, still is a very good fastball hitter. Over 300 against fastballs, four-seamers, and sinkers, but also is very bad against sliders and sweepers and hasn't seen many splitters this year. Joey Bart, another one of their decent hitters, catcher, struggles against fastballs, has a lot of swing and miss, but he's pretty good against sinkers, very bad against sliders. Not too bad against splitters, though. Brian Hayes, Pirates third baseman, really good sinker hitter. And he's actually holds his own against sliders. Yes, good numbers against changeups, but not against splitters. Hasn't seen many of them. Again, not too many teams are going to see a bunch of splitters and changeups because it's not a pitch that's thrown too often. Of course, the Dodgers have a lot. So the Pirates don't match up very well against Yamamoto. They are not an aggressive team, but Yamamoto pounds the strike zone, so that's not really going to matter for him. We'll get into Roki Sasaki. Don't have a lot of guys who hit splitters well. Yamamoto's best pitch, so Yamamoto is going to fare fine against the Pirates. So let's just talk about the way the Dodgers are going to go against Skenes. So the Dodgers have a fair amount of familiarity with Skenes. They've seen him twice. Obviously, he was a rookie last year. Kind of interesting. Skenes has not had the same amount of swing and miss this year. Now, he is right there with Yamamoto as one of the best pitchers in the NL so far, and he's actually been a little bit of unlucky with a lot of his expected numbers. Because if you look at xFIP, I believe he's number 1 behind, and Yamamoto's number 2. So he is really good. Like I said, his swing and miss has come down a tad this year so far. In 31 innings, he only has 30 strikeouts. But he's still very dominant, of course. So this is going to be a really hard game to predict the home run because Skenes, lefties hit 189 against Skenes, righties hit 179. So he's better against righties, but still dominant against both either way. And he's a pitcher who throws that interesting splinker pitch. It's kind of like a sinker, but when you watch it, considering how hard he throws, it really is like a mid-90s changeup splitter kind of pitch, because he also throws an actual changeup as well, and he's got a slider and a sweeper, so he throws a ton of pitches, which makes it kind of hard. So this is going to be a tough matchup for the Dodgers. And like I said, when the Dodgers faced DeGrom last week and stuff like that, and I was seeing a lot of people who were not complaining, but were annoyed about the offense. Great pitching it's hard to hit great pitching. So don't be surprised if the Dodgers don't have much offense against Skenes. They have some guys who have had success against him. Ohtani has a home run against him. actually has a home run against him. And then Teoscar also has a home run against him. So I'm going to pick Freddie and Teoscar. Again, this is going to be really hard to pick. I wanted to pick Shohei because he's good against fastballs. But Shohei is not good against splitters and changeups, and I think that if Skenes gets ahead, he's going to use that pitch heavy, which is going to be hard for Shohei. And some of the other guys, like Mookie, struggles against sliders. Will Smith, Teoscar also struggles against sliders, but Teoscar does hit well against splitters and changeups like that, and Skenes does throw that pitch to righties. He doesn't just throw it to lefties. And Teoscar's a good fastball hitter. And then Freddie's just been killing fastballs lately. His expected batting average against fastballs is 382. He actually handles changeups and splitters pretty well. So that's why I have Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez as my 2 home run picks in this game. Again, I mean, I'm confident in my picks, but it's going to be difficult because he's one of the harder pitchers to hit in baseball because he throws so hard. He pounds the strike zone. He has a lot of pitches that are very good. But Freddie and Teoscar, both fastball hitters, both guys that can hold their own against changeups and splitters. Teoscar does scare me with the slider, and Freddie Freeman hasn't been good against sliders this year, but especially right on right with Teoscar. So that's going to be a tough matchup. Those are the 2 guys I'm going to pick, but we'll go ahead and go to game 2. It will be Roki Sasaki versus Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller has been an interesting pitcher with the Pirates. A couple years ago, he was actually pretty good. Struggled ever since then. I believe that was 2023. But Mitch Keller, left-handers hit 306 against him. Right-handers hit 154. So big splits guy where lefties really crush him. Righties struggle against him. So Ohtani actually has 2 home runs against him. Freddie has 1 home run, and then also Max Muncy and Mookie have a home run against him. So, obviously, this is going to be a game to pick some lefties. And if you look at some of his numbers on his individual pitches, he's got an expected batting average on his four-seamer of 383, so his four-seamer's getting crushed. The slider, he throws 2 sliders, a slider and a sweeper. The slider he actually throws more often and has an expected batting average of 314, but the sweeper is better pitch that has a batting average against of 056 and an expected batting average of 220. So that's what makes him harder on righties. Now his changeup gets absolutely obliterated because it has a batting average against a 429. And then his sinker also has a batting average of 462. So Mitch Keller has a lot of pitches that are getting hammered by a lot of hitters. So in this game, this is going to be my game for two guys to break out. So I'm not picking, Shohei or Freddie or anything like that. I am picking Max Muncy and Michael Conforto in this game. Two guys who have been struggling, but two guys. First, Max Muncy, always been a good fastball hitter in his career and has good numbers against sinkers, and it's always been that way. Michael Conforto has good numbers against sliders. So I'm thinking Max Muncy hits a fastball, four-seamer, or a sinker, and then Michael Conforto maybe gets a slide or something like that. I just think that they both are better against righties. Keller struggles against lefties. They've both been struggling. I'd like to see them both go deep, and I think they both go deep in this game. I think they match up well against Keller, and I think a lot of the Dodgers do. Like I said, Freeman has a chance to crush him. Tommy Edman as well. I like that Pages will probably be in there, even though he struggles against fastballs. He hits well against sliders. And then Mookie also hits fastballs well. So I think the Dodgers are really going to crush Keller in this game. Look out for that. Now, quickly with Sasaki, the Dodgers, the Pirates have never faced him, of course. So nobody's ever seen him. And like I said, not too many guys have good numbers against splitters. Now, what scares me about Roki facing the Pirates is that they're very disciplined and they're very patient. So that means Sasaki has to get his fastball in the strike zone. Now again, you don't want it to be in the strike zone to the point where it's getting hammered, but if he is not pounding the zone, they're going to be very patient, and you'll look up in the third inning and Sasaki will have close to 70 pitches or something like that because they're very patient. So Sasaki's got to be in the zone like he was against the Rangers last week. Don't look for a lot of strikeouts in this game. I thought he would get some good swing and miss and some chase last week against the Rangers. He didn't get that much. His slider is actually a really good pitch, and it was really good against the Rangers. Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, Joey Bart, Cabrian Hayes, a lot of those guys don't hit sliders well, so look for Sasaki to implement the slider a lot like he did with the Rangers. The Pirates don't have good numbers against the splitters, and of course nobody's seen a splitter like his, but I don't love how patient they are. That could be a recipe for disaster for Sasaki. He's got to be in the zone. If he's not in the zone, it's going to be a quick outing for him. But I think the Dodgers are going to crush Keller because they match up very well against him. So, like I said, my homer picks for that game, Conforto and Muncy. So I know we're only like 13 minutes into the pod, but we're going to keep it moving. Game 3, Tyler Glasnow versus Bailey Falter, who's a left-handed pitcher. Quickly, Bailey Falter, if you don't know, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball when it comes to extension. So he is 6'4", but he really maxes out those long arms and that extension. But what is interesting about Falter is he is a reverse split guy. So lefties are hitting over 400 versus Falter, but righties are only hitting 211. Now, I'm still going to stick with righties in this game to hit homers off him and to have success against him. But that could be a good thing for the Dodgers because they haven't hit well against lefties so far this year, but the reverse splits means that guys like Freddie, Ohtani, and some of those other guys, maybe Muncy's in there, will have success against him. And I should also note, Teoscar Hernandez has 2 home runs off of Falter. Conforto and Freddie both have 1. So in this game, I'm going to pick Andy Pages and Teoscar Hernandez to go deep. So I got Teo going deep in 2 games. Like I said, the first one is going to be tough, but Teoscar's just been hammering lefties. He's done it his whole career. He did it last year with the Dodgers. He's continued it this year. And then Pages was hot this week against the Cubs. I think he'll stick up. He'll continue to put pretty good at-bats against the Pirates. And I like that in this outing, in this matchup with Bailey Falter, he is left-handed, which Pages has always hit better against, and his slider has a batting average against of 333, and we talked about how Andy Pages crushes sliders. So not a good matchup for Falter when it comes to Pages, and then Teoscar Hernandez. also hits fastball wells. He's got a batting average against him 262 on his fastball. My one bonus for this series will be Kike Hernandez in this game. I'm pretty positive Kike will be in there in this game against Falter because he usually starts against lefties. But because he's a utility guy, bench guy, doesn't always play, I don't want to pick him as one of my main picks because I know Paz and Teoscar will be in there. I'm not 100% certain Kike will be in there. He probably will. That's why he's going to be a bonus. If he's in there, I'll also pick him to go deep, just straight off of vibes. He's got 4 homers on the year. Kike has good numbers against sinkers, which is a pitch that Falter throws. That's his second most used pitch. So maybe throws a sinker inside to Kike and he turns it around and crushes it. So that's a bonus pick. I had a bonus pick last series with Will Smith and it worked out for me. So I'm going to have a Kike Hernandez bonus pick. But like I said, it's going to be in game 3 because I don't think he'll get a start in the first 2 games. So, and then lastly, Tyler Glasnow against the Pirates. Of course, his former team. He came up with the Pirates. Now, the Pirates have some guys who hit fastballs well. O'Neal Cruz hits 333 versus sinkers, and he's got a 288 expected batting average against 4-seamers. Brian Reynolds hits over 300 against both 4-seams and sinkers. Andrew McCutchen, over 300. Joey Bart hits well against sinkers. Not so much 4-seamers. Cabrian Hayes is also well against sinkers. Another good hitter for the Pirates, Emmanuel Valdez. I am now learning about him. He's got an expected batting average against 4-seamers of 348. Expected batting average versus sliders 338. So he looks like a good young hitter for them. So what's interesting really to see in this outing is just how does Glasnow look after coming out of that last game with the cramp. The Pirates hit fastballs well, so again, look for Glasnow to continue the increase on his curveball and slider usage. They don't have a lot of their guys don't have good numbers against sliders like McCutchen, Joey Bart, so he should be using the slider a lot in this game. And another guy like Sasaki who hasn't been in the zone too much, and that is key with the Pirates because they're very disciplined and very patient. So Sasaki and Glasnow got to be in the zone with their fastball because if not, they're going to fall behind, and they're going to fall behind in the game as well. Pirates pitching is pretty solid. It's going to be tough for them to beat Skenes, but I think they can do it. I think they're going to hammer Mitch Keller, and I think they'll put up some good numbers against Falter because I think those 2 guys are pretty hittable. So I'm looking for guys like Muncy and Conforto to break out. I'm looking for Muncy to continue, I'm looking for Mookie to continue some improvement offensively as well as Andy Pajes. And then I'm really looking for Shohei to do well in this series. I didn't pick him in any of my homer picks. I thought it was too chalk if I picked him against Skenes. And then I wanted to pick Muncy and Conforto as my breakout guys. Maybe I'll throw him as another bonus guy against Falter because he's a reverse splits guy. But I'm not going to pick Shohei in this series to go deep. But I believe in you, Shohei, and I would like to see you go deep and like to see you start to heat up offensively because you've been struggling a little bit later. But not at all struggled about Shohei. He'll be fine. And he's also continued to get unlucky. So that's going to wrap up Talking Blue. This is episode 14. 3rd preview series. This time it's the Pirates. You can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to have some more shorts coming out. I'll probably make this video into a short for people on Reddit and for people on X and stuff like that. Follow me on X at Talking Blue Nick. I'll be live tweeting throughout the games like I always do. And I will be posting stuff on my Instagram. Let's see if the Dodgers can sweep the Pirates or at least win the series. I want to see the bats wake up. Don't be too home run reliant in this series because the Pirates don't give up a lot of home runs. Continue to walk and have rallies like we saw against the Cubs. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys at the finish of this series. Dodgers Pirates, thank you for listening.